Hey, Peter. How are you?
Good. How are you, Mr. President? Good to see you. You right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm good, yeah.
Big week.
Yeah, big week.
It went well.
But it hasn't ended yet.
Do we want to?
I don't know.
We got the tough questions. Do you want the tough ones as well? Or do you
Is it
want-
tough? Really?
Well,
What do you mean by tough?
tough for me to ask. So listen, when we were here 2.5, 3 months ago, while we were in the other room, honestly, I left and I was like, no, they're not going to hit that deadline. That's too hard.
Well, yeah, it was a crazy deadline.
That was a crazy deadline. Well, I spoke to people and everyone was like, no, they're not going to do it. And you did. I mean, I know you've had some technical challenges, which you would
Yes.
expect.
Probably, if we had more time, we probably had the same problems.
You would.
I mean, how do you know? I mean, really? We probably have the same problems, probably more problems, or probably less problems.
Well, you maybe don't roll out nationwide in one go, which was brave.
They told me that.
Yeah.
But I really think that, I mean, you know, there's a lot of ways to get from A to C. You can either go from A to C or go from A to B and then to C, or can actually go to D and then back to C, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways to get there. So a lot of people might second guess what we're doing, and they're probably right. But that doesn't mean we're wrong. That just means there's several ways to do it the same thing.
Well, I still think it was brave. It was a bold deadline. A lot of people were doubting it, and maybe not the perfect rollout, but it's been pretty good.
Yeah.
We went to Starbucks today and it was flawless. Went to McDonald's, slightly different experience, but
Well, you know, a lot of people they haven't really sunk that in, that this global corporations are actually accepting Bitcoin for a coffee.
that's what we were discussing.
And I know you could say, oh, you know, McDonald's is a franchise. Sure, in the U.S. it's a franchise too. I mean, actually, McDonald's, they don't own McDonald's, right? They don't own restaurants. They're a franchise company.
Of course, yeah.
Well, they will say that they're also a real estate company, but that's another topic. But what I'm trying to say is that these companies, they work globally, like Pizza Hut, for example, or KFC, or Wendy's, or Burger King, and they're all accepting Bitcoin right here. So it's like, you know, Walmart is, I mean, they're just asking for some days to roll out, but they're going to accept Bitcoin in a couple of days. And I don't know if tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, Walmart is going to accept Bitcoin. And how many stores? Here in El Salvador, they have like 100 stores.
Mm-hmm.
But how many stores do they have in the States or in the world? And of course, they're not accepting, and it's the same company. That's not a franchise. It's a company owned by a family. But they're gonna do this here. And Bitcoin transactions, they're not using our wallet. They are using another service. So they're going to pay a very small fee, I would guess. But that fee, which may be pennies, I mean,
Maybe less.
yeah, exactly. Maybe sats,
Yeah.
right? A credit card fee here would be, I mean, for a normal business would be 6-7%.
Well, especially for me, if I use my card, it's got to get £1 to $1 across the ocean.
Yeah.
So there's always a big fee with that.
That's a big fee, yes. But it's also, even people here with credit cards, Salvadoran credit cards, used in a Salvadoran supermarket or in a Salvadoran restaurant, they will charge 5% to the restaurant, 5%. And I just remember when they say, you never pay high interest rates for a loan because that will get you broke. But you paid 5% for 1 second. Isn't that the highest interest rate in the world?
It kind of is.
Yeah. So now these huge corporations like Walmart, Starbucks, you name it. I mean, every major corporation, most major corporations are here, right? So cars, for example, there's tons of brands, and they all will accept Bitcoin eventually. And when I say eventually, I'm not saying with Bitcoin standard or wait some years. No, I'm talking about weeks, right? So if you go to a Sheraton or to a Marriott hotel, they would accept Bitcoin in a couple of days. So all of these corporations will experience this right here, and probably they would say, for example, Pizza Hut, one of the one of the best Pizza Hut franchises are here, some of them. You can go to a restaurant, you will see the difference between a Pizza Hut here and the Pizza Hut in the States.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference.
Okay.
I mean, a lot better here.
Okay.
Yeah. And they would say, okay, in this very nice restaurants that we have in El Salvador, we are accepting Bitcoin, and it's working seamlessly, flawlessly, fast, cheap. A lot of people are coming in to pay with that, and secure, everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And why not do it in Mexico? The owners of the Pizza Hut restaurants here are the same owners of the Mexico restaurants. They're Salvadorans,
Yeah.
but they own the Mexico franchises too. So why wouldn't they do it in Mexico? I mean, it's the same international corporation, same owners of the franchise. Why wouldn't they do it in Mexico? They don't even need Bitcoin to be legal tender in Mexico. They can actually just accept it. It's not illegal. So, and probably the same people will ask for it. So, it's like...
I get it. Neil said to me after the coffee, he said, put the camera on me, he said, how does this feel? And I said, it's not what you think I'm going to say. I said, it's not the fact I've just bought a coffee with Bitcoin. I've been doing that in Zonte for 2 years. It's the fact I bought a Starbucks coffee in with Bitcoin. And I used to come here and I could go to Zonte. I didn't have to bring dollars because I could just use my wallet everywhere.
Exactly.
Now I don't have to. I can come to the city and I don't need to bring dollars because I can use my wallet.
You actually don't need it. You won't, in a couple of weeks, you won't need to carry cash or credit cards. Actually, you won't need a real wallet.
But the thing I said is the biggest
A
thing
physical
here,
one.
this is an advert to every Starbucks in the world. When they realize that you've got Bitcoiners wanting to use this, I mean, they've rolled it out here in a couple of months. They can do that across the US.
They rolled it out probably less because you would think that they didn't start to work in June 6th when we approved the law. They probably started work in July. So they probably had less than 2 months to have everything seamlessly working, fast, have their personnel trained. It's not easy to have their staff trained and know how to work, and the accountants. I mean, it's the waiters.
Well, McDonald's had built it into their screens, which surprised me because I assumed going up to the screen it'd be only at the counter. They got it in the screens. I mean, those screens are all around the world. Yeah,
it's the same screens, same software, same hardware, same everything, same product, same brands. It seems like a no-brainer to me. I mean, it's going to happen. Either it's going to happen now or in the next years. But, it seems like a no-brainer.
Have you got any early data on usage? How much people are using Bitcoin yet?
No, I don't know. I don't know that number. I won't because we can only look into the Chivo app.
Okay.
Which we have numbers about Chivo, but you didn't pay with Chivo app, and McDonald's and Starbucks didn't collect your payment with Chivo app.
Okay.
So I don't know that. I probably know when they file their taxes. But, you have to add up all that, and it will be pretty hard to add up a number. But that's just the nature of Bitcoin. Right?
Can they pay their taxes in Bitcoin?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Bitcoin standards happening here.
Yes. No, here you can pay your taxes. Either it's government or municipal, in the airport, all of the services, even in the border, you can pay your tourist card with Bitcoin. Actually, immigration put up a video of the first tourist that paid his tourist card with Bitcoin. We're 2 Mexicans.
Amazing.
Yeah, with a couple. They came from Mexico. They came because of Bitcoin.
A lot of people have come because of Bitcoin.
But they went to the airport and they said, "Can we pay the?" I mean, they were trying us out, right? Mm-hmm. Can we pay the card with Bitcoin? Sure.
We're ready to go.
Yes. And they had.
There's a lot of people who want you to fail. Because I tweeted it and you retweeted it. There's a lot of people who want you to fail.
Yes, of course.
I think these people, if you're a critic, you should want it to be a success, whilst critiquing why it might fail. But people actually want you to fail.
Yes, exactly.
Not considering the consequences of what that means for other people. You feel that pressure.
Yes. It's very easy to see.
Mm-hmm.
When you see this, a lot of, this economists were like suddenly very worried about El Salvador. They're like, oh, El Salvador is doing this bad, this will harm Salvadorans. I'm like, really? I mean, we have been literally starving for 100 years. And you never said, El Salvador should do this or that. And now suddenly you're telling us what to do and that we shouldn't do that or we shouldn't do the other thing. I mean, of course they're not interested in El Salvador. They're interested in us to fail because there's, if you look what's at stake, if this succeeds, which I think it will, but, they think they can stop it. If this succeeds, it will be one of the history's biggest game changers in economics. Not only monetary policy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about the full-blown global economic system.
What's the first domino?
Yeah, well, I don't know if the first domino. You can set up analogies, but if it works, why would any other country won't do the same thing? I mean, imagine a country like El Salvador, which is with all the handicaps we have, right? Suddenly, we have 75% of our people are unbankerized.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine in a year from now, that's down to 10. That we have been trying for, I don't know, like 30 years to bankerize our people.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been impossible because they don't trust the banks, because the banks don't want to give service to them, because the services are too expensive, whatever. And if we achieve in a year what we couldn't achieve in 30 years, that's just one thing. Now, if we can achieve economic growth, or even for some people to bypass inflation, which right now it's crazy, right? There's so much things at stake that, of course, there's going to be a lot of money and a lot of effort into having us fail, and that's why suddenly, there's all of this huge media outlets attacking a small country, and you were like, why? I mean, really, did they care before? They're really not attacking me or the country. They're just attacking. Actually, they're just attacking Bitcoin. I mean, they hate it because they're afraid of it. So we're being attacked as accessories.
Well, they're afraid of it making them irrelevant.
Of course. There's
losing control.
Yeah, I mean, actually, if you look a little bit forward, the market value in Bitcoin in dollars is actually low, very, very small for its real potential, right? So
that's why we hodl.
Exactly, because it's very, very small. I mean, you could say, oh no, it's almost $1 trillion. Yes, but that's not, that's really small if you understand the concept. If that grows, it will grow at the expense of what? And at the expense of the U.S. dollar, at the expense of huge banks, at the expense. So there's of the international monetary system. So I mean, you have this gigantic enemies now that before, I mean, they were not. I mean, they didn't care about us. They were not our friends, but not our enemies. And now they're rooting for us to fail. But I really don't think it will happen just because it's not. I mean, they will try. They will try to scare people. They will try to give us a bad rep internationally. They will try to bring us down in our approval ratings locally.
How do you measure success yourself? And it's quite a tricky thing because you can measure success on the number of people who have become banked, that's quite an easy thing to kind of measure.
Yeah.
You can also,
there'll be a variable, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to be the variable, but it's a very important one.
You've got productivity, investment,
economic growth, GDP, economic growth. Yeah, let's see next year.
Wow. See, one of the tricky things is, which will lead to another question I've got later on, but is that if you track Bitcoin's history, there's a potential of going up and then coming back down. And during that period it goes down, that's when people will come at you. Most, I think. That's when you'll face your biggest challenges.
You think?
Yeah. I actually prefer the bear markets, by the way. I haven't worked through one. That's when the real work gets done.
Yeah.
But we saw it the other day. I mean, you were buying Bitcoin and the price drops what we consider a small amount. Peter Schiff is like this and Hankey's like this.
Yeah, but they're probably very smart people. I'm not saying they're, but they're not being honest.
We know that.
Yeah, I know you know.
I know.
And probably the people that watch your show know it. But let's just, I'll give you a very small answer. Oh, they lost $2 million. Really? When? I mean, we have the same coins that we had before. I mean, really, when we lost what? You're just calculating a market appreciation value against another currency that's just, it could be that right now. It will be different later. Mm-hmm. But let's take that aside for a second. Even big media companies are saying that we're going to save, and this is not me, this is big media companies, are saying that we're going to save $400 million in remittances.
Well, that's just one.
Yeah, we talk about a lot of things, right? We talk about coffee, we talk about Starbucks, McDonald's, we talk about jobs, investment, tourism.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about remittances.
Yeah.
So we talk about a lot of things, but we talk about economic inclusion, bankarization of the informal sector. We talk about loans for small businesses. Mm-hmm. We talk about a lot of things, but we didn't talk about remittances. Now, these big media companies, they are saying that El Salvador will save $400 million a year, every year, $400 million.
No, but I thought they were saying Salvador. Just on Western Union, one company alone.
Well, I don't know. I think it's probably Western Union. I don't know if, or the three of them.
But it could be more.
It could be more, yes. But let's stay with their number, right? Because I could say another number, but let's stay with their number. They say that Salvadorans will save every year $400 million. So do you think if the government loses $2 million to make their citizens, I mean, we're not losing $2 million.
Yeah.
Let's say we lost $2 million, which is a lie, we haven't lost anything. But let's say these economists are right and we lost $2 million, right? And we haven't sold anything, but let's say they're right. Okay. They also have said that Salvadorans are going to save $400 million every year. I mean, not these guys, but I mean, the media conglomerates. So we haven't lost anything. But let's say we lost $2 million to make our people save $400 million every year. So in 10 years, it would be $4 billion. Just with their numbers.
What is your GDP at the moment? I know I should know it, but...
Like 24, 25 billion.
So that's 20% over 10 years of your GDP. That's pretty big numbers. And that's not counting everything else.
Well, yes, but it could be, it's actually more because we're talking about one variable, which is remittances. But then you have a lot of other variables. Even with the variable of remittances, which is one of all of the other variables, we can actually make more for our people than 400 million. Mm-hmm. Why? Because there's the ease factor. Mm-hmm. Let's say you live in the U.S., you're a Salvadoran working there, you work 2 jobs to live over there and send some money back home, right? And they will charge you to all of them, they will charge $400 million a year in fees to send their money home. So if you want to send, let's say, $50, you will have to pay $5, right? Mm-hmm. Or if you want to send, so you're probably not going to send $50 because it's too expensive to send. You have to go to these places and give your money, send it, pay a high fee. So you're probably not going to send $50. And you probably have to go on Monday, and here they will have to go and collect the money personally. Probably you can put it electronically over there, but they have to go personally to collect. Mm-hmm. But now you have your phone, so a kid can tell his dad, I'm going to the movies with my girlfriend. Can you please send me $20?
My son did it to me today.
So it's
Yeah, it
easier.
happens.
I mean, if that happens with the normal system, his dad would just say, "No, of course not. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna put a remittance of $20 and pay fees, pay $6 for a $20 remittance, and then send it to you, and then you go to the Western Union shop and take the $20, the $14 out." But if it's so easy at sending a WhatsApp message, why wouldn't he send $20?
Well, I mean,
So it's probable. It's possible. It's very likely that Salvadorans are not only going to save $400 million a year, but the ease and the speed of the transactions and the 24/7 and everything, and having his kid being able, I mean, he can go and cash it out in an ATM, but he can also go to the movie theater and just pay for the tickets. So that will make, I think, his dad probably to send him $20 that he wouldn't have sent otherwise. So we can't measure that right now, but we definitely will measure it at the end of the year. So I'm sure we're going to see some other variables that we haven't thought of them before, but we're going to see them eventually happening, and probably a couple of surprises.
see, you're buying Bitcoin as the government, though.
Yeah.
What's the strategy with that? Because some people's strategy is to buy, is to hold, let it appreciate in value, and leverage that. Could your government be the same?
No, because we actually distribute Bitcoin in our people. So we'll probably buy a lot more, and we'll take advantage of the dips, of course. But we will probably buy a lot more, and that's why when they say, "Oh, they lost $2 million," like, oh, they don't know. Either they know nothing about it, or they just pretending they know nothing about it. But of course, we haven't lost anything. But we're going to buy a lot more because we need to distribute to each download. And then you have other things that you will want to distribute with the same system in Bitcoin. So, and we actually buy Bitcoin from the population too, because when they convert to USD, we give them fiat money for the Bitcoin we just probably gave them yesterday. So it's a dynamic thing. But it also includes giving it to our people, buying it back, giving it back, sell it to our people. So it's a more dynamic thing than just as an investor that just buys and holds. For us, it's as a currency, it's a very, very dynamic thing.
There's not a separate treasury, though, as an investment for the country?
Well, yes. I mean, the trust fund it has also an investment part of it, of course, and. Yeah, but it's not only that. It's more. It's a lot. It has a lot of dynamics into it. That it's not just like an investor that we just buy like an asset and hold it. It's like if you use gold coins, for example, in the past, gold was, or it still is, a value asset. But at the same time, it was a currency. Before in Rome, they will pay with gold, silver, and and copper coins, but it will still be also an asset and also a coin.
Yeah.
Right. So it's the same with us. It's an asset, of course, but it's also a currency. So it's going to move. But it's also an investment, of course, and a lot of people are saving also.
Yes.
Yes, it's incredible. We really thought there would be huge lines in the ATMs, huge lines, just because of I wanted to cash out.
Give me my $30, yeah.
Yes, but actually, it's like 20 times less what I would have expected. And we're talking about the first days with glitches in the app and everything, with bugs, and the people are preferring it. With 90% of the businesses still not accepting it because they have to roll out their things, and we have to give them some time. People are actually not the majority, but 40% of the people are using the ATMs to buy Bitcoin and put it in their wallets. So this is, it's very interesting. I mean, of course, I wouldn't like the bugs and the glitches in the app that we're fixing every day, and every day it's a better experience. And probably when you put this up, it's going to be
perfect.
Not perfect.
Closer.
Nothing is perfect, but as close to perfect as humans can do. But I just really, for me, with 90% of the businesses are still not accepting Bitcoin. An app with bugs and glitches, with the uncertainty and the lack of knowledge of Bitcoin, and having such a low cashing out percentage, that will make you think that this is going to work a lot better than what we thought. So we're measuring other variables that the people that are rooting for us to fail are either not measuring or they're just not talking about it. Mm. But it's working a lot better than what we thought. I'm not talking about the app. I'm talking about it's working a lot better because the people are very interested in this new thing. If you go downtown, for example, mm-hmm. you would see a man who's very old and low income asking, okay, how this works. He's really interested in the technology.
Well, I saw that in Zonte. I've seen
in Zonte you have a more mature community, right?
But still, there's new people there who still hadn't touched Bitcoin, and on the 7th they collected Bitcoin for their first time, and they're still asking. The peer-to-peer knowledge itself is super important.
Yes, of course, yeah, because they will ask people they trust.
Yeah.
So they have built trust in their lives, in relationships, family, friendship, working relationships, and now they are going to. And now that person that they have built this relationship with is telling them, you should use this, it's very good. I mean, look, there's a lot of communication, a lot of education that has to be done. Mm-hmm. But at the end, if you have a good, solid project that is going to work, you should push it.
You put a lot on the line with this.
What have I put on the line?
Very high approval rating.
Yeah. Are you like investing?
I like investing in Bitcoin.
Yeah. So you can invest political capital in Bitcoin, can you?
Yeah, look, I think it'll work.
Of course it will.
But I don't know if the measures will be there in a year or 10 years' time. I think it works.
I'll give you an example. The opposition parties they have been saying, oh, they're going to take away your dollars, for example. Or, oh, they're gonna force you to use Bitcoin, even if you don't want to. Mm-hmm. And they actually used that discourse for the last 3 months, right? Since we approved the Bitcoin law, till when September 7 arrived, nobody took away your dollars. Nobody forced you to download or use anything. Then September 8 came, September 9. And you don't need a year, you don't need 10 years for people to realize that this is voluntary. Nobody's taking your dollars away from you. If you want paper money, you can have it. The benefits of having, for example, if you have a business, more clients, a bank account, which you didn't have before, loans, because we're gonna loan money to micro businesses, micro loans, with very low interest rates. I mean, once we start mining and we start building schools that says this school was built with Bitcoin, right? And then your community will see your school. How much time do we need for that? 1 year. So it's not going to be 10. I mean, it's going to be 10 for real valuation, another countries probably, big ones accepting. Yeah, that's probably going to take time. But there's a lot of benefits that are going to come. Well, they came on Tuesday. There's a lot of benefits that are going to come in a week when there's more usage. There's a lot of benefits that are going to come in 3 months. And there's a lot of benefits that are coming in a year. So I don't think we have to wait 10 years to see the benefits of it. I actually think that people are already seeing the benefits. And not only the benefits, but they are also seeing that all of the things that they told them
are wrong.
Yes, they were lies, actually.
Is there some PTSD from the transition of the colony to the...
Yes, there's a lot of that, yes, because that was very, very forceful. And it was very, very damaging for the common folk. Because what Salvadorans will always say, it's that we earn money in colones and we pay in dollars.
Yeah.
So it was totally mandatory, and there was no option. And even if you pay with your colones, they would take them away and give you dollars. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't even in the law. It was just with banks and supermarkets and pharmacies and they did because they were ordered by the government to do it, not because it wasn't the law, but just because they would do it. So there's a lot of post-traumatic stress disorder associated with that. But it's a different government now, and there's different times, and population thinks differently. So there's a lot of that. But this is all the FUD is going to erode very quickly, at least here locally.
But I don't think they're really against Bitcoin.
No, they're
I think
not.
they're against you. I think if you'd have banned Bitcoin, they perhaps would have been protesting for you to make Bitcoin
Oh,
legal.
you're talking about the opposition.
Yeah, the
yes,
opposition.
they're just against everything we do. But they're very easy to they haven't been successful with us, never. So I'm more afraid of the international attacks because that type of adversary we have never had. I mean, we never fought the international banking system.
And you feel like you're fighting that now.
Well, yes. Because you can see these huge media outlets that never cared about El Salvador before, and now they are like every other news is about every other news that they put out is about El Salvador. So it's like and it's not the news we're afraid of, but what's behind them. Mm-hmm. I mean, the news itself.
Look, I'm a Bitcoiner. We've lived with this FUD news for every cycle.
Yes, but you're talking about $1 trillion valuation right now market that is going to grow probably 100-fold. So I don't see it not being 100 trillion or a lot more actually. So you're fighting fire with fire, but here for them it's like taking away a candy from a baby, right? We're a very, very small country.
Yeah.
And so I'm more afraid of them. I mean, local opposition, they're gonna, like you say, but they're like, if you see their demonstrations, they can never reach 500 people. I mean, for them, it's like their cap, right?
But they will say, because I went there and had them yell at me.
Yeah, but they were like, how much?
The first one, maybe 300. The second one, maybe 500. I wasn't at the third one. The pictures look slightly more. Some of them will say that the numbers are low because people are scared to come out. That's what some of the people said to us.
Yeah, but do you think that's true? I think that's true. Have you seen how the police react to the protest here?
They don't do it. Well, they weren't really there.
Exactly. I've been president for 2 years and 3 months. Mm-hmm. We never disperse protest. We haven't used one can of tear gas in my whole presidency because I always will instruct them, like, please stay away from the protests. I mean, let them protest. Mm-hmm. If they paint everything, we're going to paint later, right? Let them paint and whatever. And
do you support? So you support the idea of a protest? You want to see it? You want to understand?
Well, I don't want them to protest against me, but I really support their right to do it. Yes, of course. I don't like it, but that's the whole point.
Yeah.
I mean, if I like the protest, of course I will support them. The whole point is that they are able to protest whatever they want, wherever they want, say whatever they want, and they say pretty mean things, right?
I know. Yeah.
But they have the right to say this. This is the whole point of it. I mean, I would want to have that right if I was not in government, right?
I think perhaps the arrest of Mario Gomez is what triggered some people. That's what made some people fearful.
I mean, I really knew his name after the arrest and after he was released, actually. I mean, if you really go into, he's not a famous person here.
No.
I mean, if you ask normal, common folks in the street, if you ask 100 people, how many people do you think know him? Out of 100. I'm talking about the street.
I wouldn't even know.
It's probably 0%. I mean, if you ask 100, they will probably none of them will know who it is.
But everyone in the opposition will know him.
But who you're talking about 500 people?
I think there's more. I mean, not everyone goes on the street.
Okay, yeah, probably it's 10% of the country.
Yeah.
I won't think 10% of the country knows it.
Yeah.
Because then you have to realize, then you have to ask yourself what opposition means. I mean, not voting for the president, that may be bigger, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, not voting for the president's party, it's probably a bigger chunk.
Yeah.
Last elections, 29% of the population didn't vote for our party. So it's 29, right? Mm-hmm. I would say, well, I wasn't running, so they were just voting for the candidates that presented. And 71% of the population did vote for them. So I know the numbers are bigger. But one thing is that you don't like what the government does, or you just don't support the government or the president. That doesn't mean you're an activist.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you have to know this person, I would bet anything that not 29% or 10 or 5 or even 1% of the population knows who the guy is. So it's not used. There's no use. I mean, we've never done a political arrest. I wouldn't do it.
Mm.
I mean, getting a person that's not famous to make him a martyr. I mean, why would you do that? I mean, it's not. It doesn't make any sense.
What do you want your legacy to be? Do you think about your legacy?
Yes,
do you think about
all the time? Yeah.
Because it feels like, I mean, I've read about the previous presidents because you told me the last 4. You told me about
the last 6. Actually.
Well, I did the last 4. I think there's the last 4 you mentioned last time.
The other 2 got away with it.
There's two in Nicaragua now?
2 are Nicaraguan citizens now.
One's in jail, one's dead. I was looking at the numbers. I mean, Antonio Sacco, was it 300 million funds?
300 million. He was accused of 300 million, probably more. Yeah.
But,
I mean, he actually confessed about the 300 million.
So it could be more.
It could be 1,000. I don't know. I mean, not him, but him and his associates, right? So,
and what was it? Your campaign was, there's enough money if we don't steal it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have a chance of building an unreal legacy of El Salvador, and I feel invested in this country. I've been 3 times this year and 5 times overall. I love the country. I'm looking to buy a property here. I love this country, right? And I feel invested in this. And you have a chance to build a legacy of one of the greatest, if not the greatest, El Salvadoran president, because you could fundamentally shift the country's economics. Do you think about stuff like that?
Yes, all the time.
Okay.
All the time, yeah. I don't collect my salary.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually very low, so I wouldn't collect it anyway. Why would I do this if it wasn't for the legacy to change this country and to change the lives of millions of people? You could say, oh, it's a small country. Yeah, but there are 10 million Salvadorans, 3 million living abroad and 7 million living here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, that could be a low number if you compare it to the 7 billion people in the world. But for me, 10 million people is a lot of people.
Well, they're your people.
Well, that's the most important thing. But also 10 million, it's a huge number for me. It could be small for other person, but for me, 10 million is huge.
Yeah.
It's the biggest number of people I have impacted in my life. Never before I could have done something that would impact 10 million lives. And now we do. And actually, it's the first time that El Salvador is doing policy that actually impacts the 3 million that lives abroad.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And, they have never received one thing from this government. And they actually being, thanks to them, we had actually survived economically. All of this over the last 3 decades, almost 4. So for the first time, the country is doing something that will greatly benefit them. At least, according to the big media outlets, at least $400 million a year in savings.
Uh-huh.
Not my words, their words. $400 million in savings a year. So they will save $4 billion in the next 10 years. I really think we're doing very, very positive things. And I don't think even this media outlet that I would consider to be not nice with us, they got this poll out that they say that 80% of the people weren't.
I know, I saw it.
Yeah, but at the same time, in the same poll, they say the president's approval rating is intact, because they ask in the same poll, if you believe their numbers. I don't necessarily believe what they say, but even if you do, they said the president's approval rating is intact, and they said that 85% of the population approve me. I think it's more, but they say 85. Now, with their numbers, I'm pretty comfortable with 85% approval rating, and that's according to them a couple of days ago. At the same time, supposedly the project was polling very negatively, but I don't think it's negative. I actually think it's like it's the way that the questions are being redacted, because what if I say, hey, I take all of your money and I'll give you back pupumi. You want that?
No,
Why?
because I don't know. I don't
But the
understand.
government's going to force you to. Do you agree with that?
No.
Why? Do you think that it's a good policy for the government to give you that instead and take away your money?
Well, it comes back to the PTSD.
No.
What I'm saying, you
not
can
only
frame a question.
This is worse, the PTSD, because I understand the possible PTSD, but if you were to say euros, people will probably know them and understand.
But people don't like change.
Not necessarily.
Some people don't.
No, people like change. The problem is that when you phrase the questions like that, I mean, they go to people that they don't know what Bitcoin is, and they tell them, do you want the government to take away all of your money and give you Bitcoin instead? And they say, what's Bitcoin? It's something that's spiritual. Actually, you cannot touch it. I can't touch it. No, you can't touch it. You want that? No. But so you're against the government policy to force you to get this virtual, inexistent currency and take away all of your money, right? Yes. Okay, so you're against the government.
I'm not sure the questions were framed like that.
Well, they are. They are. If you read them, I mean, I'm trying to hyperbolize.
No, but my point being
hyperbolize
is-
to make it funnier. But they actually were like that because you're asking somebody that doesn't know anything about Bitcoin, that never in his life he has actually used a bank account or a credit card or a debit card or anything that's not physically touchable.
Well,
and then
yeah.
you're asking me if he is in favor of using something that he doesn't know. But when you go to the plaza and you see the Chivo spots and you see this type of profile of a person that would say no, right? Like very old man with low income that probably never had a bank account. And you see them in the Chivo spot asking for, not only him, but, a lot of people asking for information. Is he really against it? Or just he doesn't know about it and he wants to know more about it? Or he needs more, more information about it, or needs to get more used to it. And there's another thing, and I bet you have heard of this. They have said one time and again that we're going to force people to use that.
We covered this the first time. I know this. I know they're not forced to. They can have it converted to the dollar.
Not only converted.
Yeah.
Normal people, they didn't. I mean, do you think McDonald's will? Because there's a lot of what the opposition uses internationally and locally is Article 7 of the Bitcoin law, right? Of course, they're ignoring Article 8 and 12. We talked about this last time.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yeah. So we actually need Article 7 because if we don't have Article 7, McDonald's will not accept Bitcoin.
Well, that's the point.
But normal people, they are within Article 8 and 12. I mean, we're not forcing anybody, not even McDonald's. I mean, but if you don't include that provision, provision in the law, you would have the banks, all the big banks and all the big corporations running the show. So you actually need one thing that will tell them, yeah, you have to get on board this. I'm talking about big corporations, not a small folk or a small business or a normal person or a worker. I'm talking about 20 corporations. Oh, poor corporations, they're being forced to. I mean, come on. I mean, really, they are worth, hundreds of billions of dollars. They have all the money in the world. They actually pay governments to do what they want. I'm not talking about El Salvador, I'm talking about the United States.
Okay, I know.
Right? And this is not only I have invented. I mean, in the States, it's legal to pay. Here, it's illegal. They do it, but it's illegal at least. But in the States, it's legal. You can actually pay a politician. It's called lobbying.
I know.
And you can actually hire them after they actually will give $1 million jobs to politicians when they retire in the lobbying firm that they were lobbied with 20 years. So it's institutionalized corruption, and it's legal. And these corporations, they run the show. Not here. They run the show in the world. But now with social media, it's not only Bitcoin. It's social media. It's hyper-communication. That's why Bitcoin exists. So with all of this hyper-communication and all of these people with a voice, now everybody has a voice. Probably more people will watch your podcast than.
Oh, this one will be the last one.
Probably, but more people will watch your podcast than probably, NBC. I'm not joking. I was in this show. What's the name? What was the name of this show? It's very famous in the States.
Tucker Carlson.
No. He has some rating. He has rating. No. This it has a clock. 60
Oh,
minutes.
yeah, sorry, yeah.
I was in 60 Minutes, full show, full 60 Minutes. And I was like very honored to be, in 60 Minutes and everything. And we did the show went out. Nobody called me or texted me like, hey, you did well on the show. Nobody. I didn't receive a tweet.
What about after my one? Did you?
A lot of them, thousands. And after 60 Minutes, nobody, and I was like, did someone watch the show? I mean, the 60 Minutes show? It's like this legacy media, they're fine and they have the right to do it. I mean, it's not like, I'm not criticizing because I'm against them. It's just that they're not as relevant as they were. And not because of me or because of you, it's because that's reality. That's the new reality. I mean, TikTok, we have more views or that, all the 3 major networks in the United States.
Hence what you did at the UN.
Yeah. And it was different at that time. Now it has changed even more.
Yeah.
So...
Well, I wrestled with Article 7, and I came to the conclusion that...
You cannot put this into work without it.
Well, it just...
Because if not, the bank...
It's a kickstart. It's like a kickstart.
Well, not only a kickstart. I mean, huge banks. I mean, multi-billion-dollar banks here. The main 5 banks, they're worth way more than $1 billion. They would say, yeah, we're not going to take it. So, and the corporations, the supermarkets, the pharmacies, the gas stations, the chain restaurants, they have 100 stores. No, we don't. We won't use it. The department stores. No, we won't take it. So let's say a family gets their $30 in Bitcoin. They're 5, so they put the 150 and they want to buy a kitchen. So they go to the department store and say, okay, we're going to buy a kitchen, right? The department store says, no, we won't take it. So they don't know what Bitcoin is, how does it work. So in the first time, they would face that their Bitcoins are worth nothing for them because they go to the store and they wouldn't take it. So you have to create an environment in which their Bitcoin is accepted as a method of payment with the big corporations. And the small guy, he can do whatever he wants. And actually, the smallest guy is the guy that goes to buy the kitchen. So we're actually protecting the freedom of the small guy, the little guy, because he has freedom to choose if he wants to pay in dollars or in Bitcoin. Now, do the huge corporations have freedoms? Of course, yes. I don't understand why, when the corporations run the show, nobody says anything. It's like, oh, okay, it's fine. They can crush the little guy. They can whatever. They can do whatever they want. And when we protect the liberties and the right to choose of the little guy, and we make the corporations to respect that, suddenly that's bad. And we actually have in the same, how much articles were they? 16? It was very, very small. So you can actually read it. You can actually read the full law in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, of course.
Or less. So, and then next to Article 7, it's Article 8. And a little below, it's Article 12. I mean, you just have to read the next articles, and that's it.
Will there come a time where you start to enforce Article 7? And how would you enforce that?
We're not enforcing.
No, but will there come a time then maybe you won't? So my experience was we went everywhere. We went to I can't remember, the steak restaurant in a mall, and we said, are you ready? He said, we're ready. We're not, we're ready for the law. Tuesday, we've got the Chivo app. We've seen Starbucks and McDonald's. Then we went down to the market. Nobody was ready. But does there come a time where, there may be a couple of places in the mall? Does there come a time when you enforce it?
We haven't enforced it.
I know, not yet, but...
No. We just have the capability of enforcing it into big corporations or a big bank. That's just,
So it's there because of those guys?
Of course.
Because my feeling was it was a little bit carrot and stick. It's stick for the big corporations, carrot for the small businesses. Like, here's an incentive, here's the Chivo app, Here's $30. Go out and learn it.
Yeah. That's enough.
Yeah.
We're not enforcing it, not even now. I mean, why we would enforce it? Why would you enforce it in a year?
Well, I just got to ask the questions that people ask me or the people that are fearful of, and I've got to put them to you.
You know, the fear is the first word, the first letter of FUD.
Back to your legacy. Big question. I can't actually believe. I mean, I'm not a political guy. I'm going to be discussing politics with you now, and I'm not going to debate you on it. But I've met a lot of people, and there has been a big reaction to the Supreme Court ruling. But when last time I met you, I said one term just doesn't seem long enough.
Yeah, I haven't give any opinion about it. I'm
how
not
about a
doing
world
any
exclusive?
podcast. No, I'm not going to do that.
So will you talk about this
Later? Yeah, probably later.
I mean, it's quite a big question I've written down here.
Yeah, well, you can read it.
I mean, I almost want to ask you just because I can't even, I can't believe I'm here, and I'm just a Bitcoin podcaster from Bedford, but it's really the question a lot of people are asking.
Yeah.
Is that, are you a dictator? That's the thing that people are regularly saying.
Think?
Well,
what's the ingredients? What's the ingredients? Yeah.
A ruler with total power over a country, typically one who has obtained control by force. I got the...
Okay, so...
What do you know what I think? I genuinely think, I said it to you last time, I don't think one term's enough to do this job, especially with the Bitcoin. And I went away thinking it isn't. I think it's a minimum 2-term job. And I think you know that. And I think what you're thinking is, I've got to do... I know, but I think...
you can answer for me.
I mean, I think you're going to run again, and I think you will, as long as everything goes okay, you will retain your presidency. But I think you know this is a 10-year job, minimum. That's what I think.
But what do you think about the dictatorship? Do you think that has any logic to it? I mean, do we doing anything by force? Do we obtain power by force? Are we imposing it on everybody else?
I think it's a subjective term that some people can describe as you are, and some people can describe as you aren't. I think it's something you use retroactively. And there's time. I think people shouldn't use it so lightly.
I agree. Because then it's like, if everything is a dictatorship, then nothing is a dictatorship. I mean, the problem with it is that I was just reading today that President Biden is saying that his patience is up and he's going to do some things to make people vaccinate, for example.
Oh, yeah.
And if you say, okay, so that's a dictatorship. And then, I mean, probably that's something that you won't like. I don't agree with it, definitely.
Yeah.
But that makes the United States a dictatorship? Because the problem is that if everything is a dictatorship, then nothing is a dictatorship. So when you have a real dictatorship that you need to fight, then what's the difference between a dictatorship and if everything is a dictatorship? It's when they give medals to everybody. It's like, they have a race and 10 people participate and they give medals to everybody because, so nobody won actually. Which is fine, you can give medals to everybody, but the problem is that then a medal is worth nothing. It's like with fiat money, it's the same concept, right? So it's the same. If everything is a dictatorship, if everything you don't like is a dictatorship because you don't like something, then nothing is a dictatorship. And I just think that, there are real dictatorships in the world that are very harmful to their people, that they crush on their people. And it's not El Salvador.
I don't think yet. I think there's a slight difference.
If you're just speculating to the future, then every country in the world is a potential dictator.
I think I need to explain. So Biden's decision, I think, is terrible. And what I would say is that he's acting authoritarian with that. And do I think you're a dictator? No, it's something you apply retrospectively once it's happened. I guess what I'm saying is I wanted to ask you the question, but not so much are you going to run again? It's like, what is the plan here? What is the long-term plan? Is it to do a specific job? Or is it one of those things where it's like, you know what? I love the job. I want to stay in it. No,
I can't. I'm not going to answer, but I can tell you it's not my plan to just stay in the job. It's not, no. I don't want to do that in my life. It's just too much. It's good. I like it, love it for now, but it's not my plan for it.
I read it was wanting to clean
life
house.
Is actually very short.
I know, man.
And it's actually very short. Once you realize that, it's probably one of the few things that, makes me sad about life is that it's too short. So I won't spend it everything here. I'm just gonna do that. And my wife's not gonna let me either. So yeah, out of the question.
What?
Now I'm not answering your question. I'm just
I
philosophically
understand.
talking about staying, huge periods of time in a job. I won't do it.
I know. And look, people
Not in this job, and not in any job. If I was, working in a company, I'll probably quit every 5 years or every 4 years, or I won't stay there for. You shouldn't stay in the same job for too much time. It takes away the impulse of starting something.
But there is an opportunity across wider Latin America to help other countries and take a bigger role there.
Well, yeah, probably.
Yeah, and that could be busy.
Yeah, definitely.
But you talked about cleaning house.
Yes.
And I understand that, and I've spoken to other people.
I'm very, I'll answer any question that's not that.
Can I tell you why I want to ask this question?
Yeah.
I've spent time here in El Salvador. A lot of my listeners haven't, and they don't understand what it's like here.
Yes.
They'll read the headlines, the FUD, and they'll make judgments. The one question I wanted more in this area is, what does clean house mean?
Well,
we talked about previous presidents.
Yes. This guy you just mentioned, he confessed about the $300 million corruption. $300 million in a poor country like ours. And the other guy, he fled, and he has Nicaraguan citizenship now. Because the dictatorship in Nicaragua actually gave him the citizenship.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Now they kill you because of your political inclinations. That's a dictatorship. Now he's accused of stealing $351 million. That's actually what the Attorney General has in proof. He probably stole more. They have proof of $351 million. And the next one, he's also in Nicaragua, $144 million. And that's only the presidents. Then you have ministers, you name it, secretaries, deputies, judges. Today, they arrested the former director of the jails because he diverted, I don't remember the exact figure, but several $1 million to the account of the former Minister of Security. This was today. You could say, because they say that the party that was in power before, they would say, this is political persecution. So what do? We just leave them stay with their money? Because do they have immunity for what they did because they're going to accuse you of political persecution? Do really all of your, I would guess most of your viewers are smart people because
they're in Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly. So they see a little more
ahead.
A little more ahead, exactly. So do you really think that in a country like El Salvador, with so much poverty, some 75% people are bankarized, all the problems that you would see in a country like ours, hunger, communities with lack of basic services, housing, water. Do you think that we have had honest politicians around?
I know you haven't.
Exactly. So what should we do with them? Should we investigate them and process them? Or should we say no because, they're political opponents, and if you arrest a political opponent, then you're a dictator.
Right.
It will be probably a lot easier not to arrest anybody.
Yeah.
Because, you don't want enemies, and they can cause you harm. It's not that hard, right? So if we want to fix things here, we have to go after corruption, crime. Of course, we have to build schools and hospitals and fight the pandemic, and more access to to technology. We're giving away computers to all the children. We're changing our economic policies. So all of this will bring results. You cannot only do this. You have also to fight impunity and corruption. And that will have, that's messy. I mean, you're cleaning your house. That's what cleaning house means. These people have not only stole, but actually killed our people. They have trained criminals. There's pictures, videos of it. I'm just not, there's videos of it, of they're giving mountains of money to criminals in exchange of votes. There are actually, there are videos of them negotiating millions of dollars for the result of an election. There are videos of them and pictures training criminals in our military facilities. And you actually look at gang members, and they're gang members because you can see their faces, and they're actually recognized gang members that are now in jail. And you will see them in the military installations in the shooting range, practicing with guns, with ammunition paid with taxes. And they're practicing, of course, because that's the silhouette you have to shot in the head, into the heart. And where are they going to apply their new talents? They're going to go out and kill our people. So they did this for a lot of time. There is actually accusations that are in our court system, not right now, before I was president, that they will actually meet the Minister of Security. I don't know what he was doing in the assembly, but he was actually in Parliament, not in the chamber, in the offices, meeting with the gang leaders, authorizing the number of homicides that they can do a day, like saying, okay, you can do up to here, so we keep this, whatever. And I mean, they have to. I mean, justice is a thing. You cannot negotiate that. Justice is something that has to be applied, and this is nothing have to do probably with economics, but it's you cannot just let criminals go away. And we're not talking about opposition. We're talking about people that have killed and steal from our from Salvadorans for the last 40 years, and some of them will never pay for their crimes because criminal system is not way far from perfect.
So it's easier to clean house than prosecute.
Yes, I mean it's easy to fire somebody than to actually prosecute him and have him go to jail. But it's sad that the justice system will probably spare 90% of them. But it would be very, very unfair to accuse us of making 10% of them pay for what they did. We should actually be doing 100. But we do such a lousy job in the justice system that probably 90% of them will get away with their crimes. So that should be the focus. Like, look, El Salvador is letting all those criminals get away with it. That should be the focus, not El Salvador capture one politician that out of 1,000 that are corrupt and have stolen and killed. I mean, it's just, the focus should be the other way around.
Well, no one can say I didn't ask you.
What?
No one can say I didn't ask you these questions.
Yeah, you did.
I got one more, and then a close-out question. This has been a real eye-opening trip for me. One of the things I really wanted to do was avoid all the cliches of El Salvador. Yeah. We've seen the tough parts, we've seen the good parts, but when everyone thinks of El Salvador, they think of two topics, but they don't talk about the beaches and the surf and the food and the people and how hard working they are. All that's missed. It's all prisons, gangs, and civil war. So we've tried to tell a different story. We've tried to show the real El Salvador. And I appreciate your time, and we have shown the opposition. There is one thing that did come up again and again in speaking to people, and it's to do with the machismo.
What?
The gender equality in the country.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this is Bitcoin thing. It's putting you on the world stage.
Yeah.
It's exposing El Salvador to the rest of the world. How far has El Salvador come in equality, and what is the future for the country with regards to this? Because this was what was meeting women in El Salvador. They said this is their pressing issue.
Yeah. Well, it's not it's obvious that there's in the whole Latin America, actually, there's a huge gap in gender equality. And it's a lot of, people won't talk about it a lot because, it's embedded in the culture. But it's real. And it's not, and you cannot just dismiss it because it's embedded in the culture. I mean, probably the culture has to be better. So there's a lot of things that we have to do, and we're working on it. And you name it. I mean, there's 1,000 topics that have to be fixed. And it's like everything else. We'll fix one, then we fix the other one. And I don't eat whales, and I think you don't eat whales either, but there's a saying that says, how do you eat a whale?
Yeah.
You can actually swallow a whale, so you eat it piece by piece. I mean, I'm not advocating for eating whales, but they did it 100 years ago. So how you fix a huge, gigantic problem as gender inequality in a country that's, that's culturally embedded into that inequality. And that goes through so many stages of, having a lot of women will be like not forced, but forced by culture, let's say, to stay home and work and not being compensated for their work. And then, that makes them dependent of their male partner because he's the one that has the money. There's a lot of things in education, in human rights, and in political positions, and so much things that will have women being not protected or being even neglected, and with the society level or even the state. So we're trying to fix that, and we're doing a lot of things. The first lady, Gabriela, my wife, she's doing a lot of projects. They just unveiled one that's huge, 600 million project, a lot more expensive than the Bitcoin one, and it's focused in women and their rights, and it's a long way to go. But when I mean, it will be a longer interview, of course. But before we started the interview, when you asked me about how many hours, I'm like, there was so much things because we have to fix the agriculture, we have to fix the intake of calories of the children, we have to fix gender inequality, we have to fix.
It's overwhelming.
Yes, but you have to fix everything because if not, there's it's like a table with one leg missing. So you have to fix everything, and it's not going to be easy. But I mean, we're doing it. And it's not Rome wasn't built in a day, and we're not Rome, and we're not. Of course, we're not going to fix the country in a day. But every time with every project, we lower the crime rate. But still, you can say, still it's a high crime rate. Yeah, but it's lower than and it's lower than most cities. And there are a lot of cities in the U.S., for example. So, but there's still a lot more things to do. And for example, in El Salvador, the majority of people being killed will be men, but that's because probably gang leaders will be men. So it's not because women are more protected. So when you look at it about feminicides, for example, there will be women that will be killed because one of the factors because them being women. So you have to fight that. It's not easy. It's actually it's one of nowadays we have lowered the gang crime rate. So there's a lot of things that we have to fix, and that's definitely the one we're working on it.
Well, I appreciate you answering these questions as well. It's these are I've spent a lot of time here. And these are things that people ask me to talk to you about, but I think we've got to give the final word to Bitcoin because that's that's my base. And also, thanks again for doing this because I know you don't give a lot of interviews.
No, I know.
For some reason, you've given me two.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
I thought we should had it's an ongoing discussion, and I thought that before it was before.
Yeah.
And now it's I won't say after, but it's live on the
We'll do this every 6 months.
yeah.
But I do appreciate it. It's very surreal. I do want to give the last word to Bitcoin. I believe in the project, and I believe Bitcoin will be a success here. In some ways, it already is in certain measures. But I want to give you just the last words on this. It's like, what do you want to tell people about El Salvador? People who listen to this, who maybe haven't been to the country or don't understand what's going on with the Bitcoin project, what do you want to just say to them?
Well, El Salvador is going to speak for itself. I mean, people are coming, people are watching, and you talk about the civil war, and the gangs, et cetera. And probably some informed people, they know about the civil war, et cetera. But most people, they were probably didn't even know where El Salvador was.
No.
In the map.
Yeah.
So when you say El Salvador was known for its civil war, I'm like, really? I mean, of course, very informed people about civil wars will be very informed about El Salvador civil war in the 80s. But most people wouldn't even know where El Salvador is in the map. And now a lot of people are watching. And now we have the eyes of the world. And actually on September 7th, we were probably the most commented and watched country in the world.
Yep.
And of course, you have ups and downs. And you not be in the news every day. Well, we have been, but it's gonna go down eventually. But only the attention that we have had now, people coming in like in tons. In the airport, you have a lot of people coming in just to watch this, this project going on. And you have all of this economist, legacy economists. I would call them. I could call them differently, but for your show, I'll be respectful.
You can call them what you want.
No, I know, but all these legacy economists, because I don't want to generalize. There's some very bad people, but there's some good people. They just think different. Now, these legacy economists, they're very smart, most of them, but they're interested in El Salvador. They're commenting, they're writing about El Salvador. I mean, we have a net gain out of it, even the tax. I mean, all of these media, all these magazines, everything, they're writing articles, opinion pieces, they're writing essays. I mean, this never happened before. Never in El Salvador's 200-year history, you would have had this type of attention from the world. And of course, the project is not for attention of the world. It's an economic project. But one of the variables that you can now measure, it's huge attention from companies, from banks. I don't know if it's JP Morgan, they issued like their assess on El Salvador's rollout of Bitcoin. And they said like, okay, the app has some glitches in that, but that was expected. And JP Morgan is issuing because of a lot of their investors, they want to know what's happening, what's going on, and how is it going. So this whole thing, I mean, by itself, it would have been enough benefits, enough good things for the country. But when you add up all the other variables, it's a huge gain for El Salvador, something that we didn't even dream of before. It's going to be good for El Salvador, it's going to be good for Bitcoin, it's going to be good for the world eventually. So yeah, for me, it was a no-brainer from the start. And it's a no-brainer right now. And I don't think it's going to work. I'm sure it's going to work because the fundamentals are there. I mean, we can have some bumps in the road, like everything, like the price of Bitcoin against compared to the dollar, if you care about that. But the fundamentals are the same, and it's going to work because the philosophy of it is right. So it's just give it time. It's going to work for El Salvador. It's going to work for Bitcoin. It's going to work for the world.
Well, I wish you the best. And again, thank you for seeing me again. I do appreciate it. But I wish you the best. I'm here to help people in El Salvador. I'll keep coming back. I'll keep offering my support to people who want to learn about Bitcoin and help them. And yeah, look forward to doing this again at another important point in the future where there's more to talk about. Just thanks again.
You too.